Jaron boots Ennis. He breaks his silence. His fight has now been canceled. You should have watched my last video, but now watch this video. Listen, if you haven't watched my last video, you should pause this video, watch that video. Jaron boots Ennis. His fight is over. Jaron Ennis is now reacting to this shocking news. Cody Crowley is out. I repeat, this is not a test. This is not a drill. His mandatory Cody Crowley is out. Jaron boots Ennis reacts. He says, if it's Cody Crowley or not, I will still be fighting a top contender on July 13th as planned. Don't worry. Don't worry, Boots says. But it's too late. Your boy Ego is already worried. Now, Cody Crowley, he took to his social media and he also spoke on this whole incident and explains why in detail. Again, if you guys have missed my last video, it's a perfect time to perhaps catch up to that video. But Cody Crowley, he's also speaking to this. He says, hello, everyone. Today, I met with my eye surgeon who performed double eye surgery on me November 2023, so the end of last year. While I am pleased that my eyes continue to improve and heal, it still does not meet the minimum requirements set forth by Pennsylvania Athletic Commission. And they were going to try to fight in Philly. The repaired retina in my right eye is experiencing fluid accumulation, causing distortion in my vision. As a result, the surgeon has not medically cleared me to fight on July 13th. While I am devastated by the news, I have peace in my heart, a situation not in my control. Everything in my control, I've given 100% of myself to the preparation for this fight. Over the next few days and weeks, my team and I are meeting with world-class eye doctors and surgeons to explore my options so I can have a more clear path to get back to the world-class boxing at a championship level. I first want to thank my family and my team who have been working tirelessly around the clock in preparation for this fight. You know who you are. I also want to thank Tom Brown and TGB Promotions, which works with PBC. I want to thank them. They are 100% behind me. I want to thank the IBF for the title shot opportunity. And I want to thank Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, and Kevin C. Roney or Kevin Croney. I want to thank Jaron Ennis. I was looking forward to an epic battle. I respect you and wish you the best in your title defense. Lastly, I want to thank you all. The journey is not over. Wow. So they got to find a new replacement opponent. Cody Crowley, I mean, he said this at the first and only press conference that they did. Cody Crowley doesn't strike me as a guy who would lie. Like, I mean, there's nothing he's said or done that would stipulate that. I mean, he's a worker. He has crazy cardio, crazy gas tank. You know, I wish him the best and I wish him a speedy recovery. I seen some people, and it's a shame in this boxing game, man. Like, you got people and trolls on the internet who just talk ridiculous and talk reckless. I seen people saying that he's ducking and things like that. See, this is the bad part, the part that I don't prefer about the internet. Before the fight was signed, they said he was ducking, right? They said, oh, Crowley's ducking, he will never take the fight. Then he signed up to take the fight, and now they're saying he's ducking because he can't actually fight Jaron Boots Ennis because the doctor hasn't cleared him. I mean, I don't know where you guys are from, but I don't know any man that's gonna go through with the press conference, do this face off and all this stuff that you see, and then, you know, the whole time they're afraid and not willing to do it. So you guys have to just deal with it. Could have been a good fight, coulda, shoulda, woulda. They got to get a new opponent. Now, Jaron Ennis says, don't worry, but unfortunately I am worried because he left PBC and I already had certain concerns and criticisms for that because I thought he perhaps got just a little impatient, if you will. Got a little impatient, wants to be the man. And I think Jaron Ennis' time will come, but it's just going to take patience. Now he rushed over there to Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn's going to pretty much overpay you. And that's how he was probably able to lure him from PBC. And your very first fight with him is in shambles, as you and Eddie Hearn are now looking for a save and someone to save. So Eddie Hearn just got his butt kicked by Frank Warren at the 5x5 tournament. The fight is less than 40 days away. It's like 30 some odd days. So whoever Jaron Ennis fights is on late terms, because that opponent, unless they're already in camp, which is not really likely, but they're only going to have about 5, maybe just say 5 weeks, because I don't even want to say 5.5, because that's pushing it, because you still got to sign on the dotted line and, you know, go over the contract and announce the fight, blah, blah, blah. So the bottom line is they're going to have ill time to prepare. So in most of these situations, I'm not looking forward to when anytime it's a replacement opponent. Like, see, the PBC does it a bit different. PBC, if you look at some of their bigger cards that are anticipated, they have like contingency plans in effect. Like their very first Amazon Prime show, they had a fight with, it was supposed to be on the undercard, Sebastian Fundora and Boachuk, which would have been a good fight, and Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman bails. Same thing with like a Cody Crowley, per injury, can't make the fight. You know, similar, Cody Crowley can't make the fight because of his eye, which I already went over, and you need to fill. So they brought Sebastian Fundora, who was already training, already on the card, and they brought him up to fight in a title fight, and he ends up upsetting Tim Tszyu, and now he goes on to fight Errol Spence Jr. And then they got Brian Mendoza late terms to fight against Boachuk. So you see how easy, and that was like very seamless. Nobody knew Keith Thurman wasn't going to make it to the fight date again. You know what I mean? No one knew he was going to be injured again, but they had a contingency plan. Eddie Hearn, this is the biggest signing he's ever had in America, especially, you know, unless we're talking about like UK and Joshua. Meet with me. I'm talking about American fighters. To me, this is the guy who's an urban legend. He has a hometown fight. People have been following with him because of this PBC and, you know, what he's done on Showtime. And people have been checking for him. And everyone was saying like, oh, earn with Hearn. And then now his very first fight, this homecoming fight, is now canceled. As of me recording the video, there's no announcement. I don't know. By the time you guys see the video, I don't know if they'll have announced an opponent. It really just depends on the readiness of whoever, who's literally going to have about 5 weeks to train. Very unfortunate news for all people involved. I am a big fan of Jaron Ennis' fighting style. I did have my questions as far as him going to rematch room, you know, because I don't believe in shortcuts. I believe Eddie Hearn's going to pay you more up front, but he's never developed a American star and made him into a household name like a Tank, right? So especially a black fighter, right? A black American fighter. It just hasn't been done. So these are some of the questions that I specifically had. And then now you had a good fight with Cody Crowley that is not going to take place, and it's just a waiting game. And I told you guys, the current welterweight division is kind of slim pickings. There's not as many people as you think. And I seen a lot of people on my live when I announced this breaking news, or on my first video about this subject matter, and people were saying stuff like, oh, fill in with this guy and this guy and this guy. And majority of those particular suggestions weren't realistic. So again, this is not my job. I am not Boots' promoter. I don't get paid to come up with his next opponent. So we'll see what his actual promoter, who does get, you know, a cut of Boots' money, we'll see what they come up with. But I've already ran through it. Check my last video. I don't really see too many great options outside of, some people are saying Virgil Ortiz, but I think he's on that Crawford Madrimov card, even though his fight with Tim Tszyu is canceled. So I don't really see a Virgil Ortiz fight, but if Eddie Hearn can pull that off, touche, touche. But I really don't see that happening with such little notice. And, you got other guys like Conor Benn. I think that's about the best save that they can do. He can't fight in the UK. Maybe you can make that, but I highly doubt that Eddie Hearn is going to want to crack one of these eggs, because someone will take a loss. And I don't know if Eddie Hearn will, to save his show in Philly, if he would put Conor Benn in there. We haven't heard from Conor Benn, but that's about the best realistic save that I could think of, is the guy who failed a drug test, in Conor Benn. But we'll see what's out there. You guys let me know who you think Boots will fight as a replacement in the comment section.